This 16th century woodcut of a hound's tongue appears to be a standard artifact of early science, a primitive record of a wildflower intended for an herbal. In the 16th century, the pursuit of the great work was a capital offense. Under the shadow of the Inquisition, an alchemist's laboratory was a liability. Overt metallurgical research invited charges of sorcery. Within the woodcut, however, the artist has included specific structural anomalies. Look at the upper third of the foliage. These rigid, unnatural leaf layers are physically impossible in nature. These deviations functioned as an operational script for transmutation. The botanical woodcut provided a physical substrate for the great work, allowing practitioners to store and circulate laboratory protocols in plain sight. This herbal mask utilized strategic steganography to encode the mineral kingdom within the vegetable kingdom. The benign description of a petal or a root served as a clandestine shield for chemical data. This camouflage was a historical necessity for the survival of the craft. If a practitioner were arrested, the ongoing laboratory fires would be extinguished, and the lineage of knowledge would be lost to the stake. The Hermetic philosopher viewed the garden as a portal where the physical root met the spiritual vapor of the furnace. Because medicinal botany enjoyed an innocent reputation, the adept used the plant's growth as a safe medium to scale and test the universal principles of transmutation. The herbal functioned as a dual-natured artifact, a rigorous scientific record for the uninitiated, and a sophisticated laboratory schematic for the enlightened. This diagram shows the semiotic bridge used by the illustrator. The physical anatomy of the plant dictated the chemical handling of the prima materia, with the root mapping to the crucible, the stem to the furnace, and the flower to the distillation flask. By utilizing this botanical veneer, masters ensured that the protocols for the Philosopher's Stone were transmitted exclusively to those capable of stripping away the flora to reveal the furnace. Inside these manuals, plant anatomy serves as a functional shorthand for the volatile and the fixed, the two pillars of spagyric practice. The subterranean root system represents fixed sulfur. These embedded sulfuric glyphs instruct the practitioner to seek the foundation of the work in the stable salts and calcined remains of the plant. In contrast, the airy petals contain mercurial glyphs, signaling volatile mercury, vaporous essences subject to flight. The vertical stem functions as the conduit, representing the Athenor's path, signaling the flow of cosmic energy between the fixed base and volatile heights. By observing these glyphs, the practitioner could identify the transformative potential of the specimen without the need for dangerous, overt metallurgical text. Identifying these principles dictated the specific handling of the plant's sap during laboratory processing, directing when to distill and when to calcine. This visual encryption was a survival-oriented protocol designed to prevent key leakage to the Inquisition. The very morphology of the flower dictated the manipulation of matter. The alchemist faced a significant technical hurdle in the 16th century, the absence of precise measurement tools for laboratory heat. To solve this, the botanical illustrator functioned as an engineer. By using the angle of ascent of foliage as a visual thermometer, they encoded quantitative heat data directly into the plant's posture. Foliage drawn at a 45-degree ascent signaled the balneum maria, or water bath. This indicated a requirement for gentle, indirect heat. As seen in this manual, the distillation apparatus used for the 45-degree protocol involves vessels submerged in a water-filled tub to ensure delicate extraction. A horizontal alignment of the leaves indicated a circulatory heat. Here, the temperature must remain constant to allow vapors to rise and fall continuously in a closed vessel. Downward-facing foliage signaled the balneum arenae, or sand bath. This indicated the intense, direct heat required for the violent final stages of purification and fixation. This visual shorthand converted qualitative woodcuts into quantitative thermal instructions, allowing the practitioner to calibrate their furnace without modern instrumentation. By observing the posture of a leaf, the alchemist could regulate the slow-motion heat of the garden with mathematical precision. Once calibrated, the adept processed high-risk reagents. The green lion allegory represents the raw, acidic energy required to devour base metals and initiate transmutation. Toxic, alkaloid-rich species like mandrake and belladonna served as concentrated manifestations of this universal solvent, used to break down the stubborn metallic bonds within the plant cells. The mandrake root was utilized for fixing the volatile, a protocol used to stabilize ephemeral chemical vapors into a solid state. This stabilizing property was anchored in the plant's root structure, representing the foundational fixed sulfur principle. The operator faced significant personal risk. If the plant's spirit was not properly washed, the unrefined potency of the alkaloids caused permanent delirium. Belladonna provided the catalyst required for the marriage of metals, though overexposure risked chemical corruption, effectively burning the furnace and ruining the base material. These toxic markers were essential operational catalysts, guiding the practitioner through the most perilous stages of the spagyric process. To the Hermeticist, the garden was a macrocosmic athanor, a slow-motion furnace where biological growth mirrored the metallurgical processes of the laboratory. The objective was the solar capture, harvesting astral virtues from the sun and refining them through the furnace of the soil. This process tracked 3 chronological stages. Stage 1, nigredo, or the blackening, was signaled by the putrefaction of the soil and the decay of the mandrake root. Nigredo represents the essential death of form. The physical root meets the spiritual vapor in a dark substrate, preparing the matter for rebirth. In Stage 2, albedo, or the whitening, the practitioner distilled the refined mercurial spirit into a white, stable essence. Finally, Stage 3, rubedo, or the reddening, was signaled by the peak maturity and coloration of the specimen, marking the attainment of the stone. The sacred graft depicted in manuscript margins provided technical instruction for the final metallurgical fusion, the union of solar and lunar principles into a single entity. The garden functioned as a controlled environment where the alchemist could scale these principles, seeking perfection through a biological timescale. The goal of this chemical whitening was the union of solar sulfur and lunar mercury to produce the elixir of life. Grafting served as the ideal botanical allegory for this union. It represented the successful fusion of 2 distinct lineages into a single superior substance. The markers of this fusion are found in the margins of master manuals, where the union of distinct stocks signaled that the physical and spiritual stone had been achieved. This sacred graft illustrates the conceptual bridge to modern science. The 16th century attempt to synthesize disparate principles to produce a specific outcome prefigures our own work with complex organic systems. The alchemical effort to manipulate a plant's reagent profile to produce the elixir shares a logical lineage with modern metabolic engineering, where we manipulate organic pathways for precise pharmaceutical outputs. The great work has simply shifted its substrate. Today, the operational script has moved from the hand-carved woodcut to the digital sequence and the genetic code. Digital cryptographers are re-examining the positional logic of these herbals. They are analyzing the placement of sigils as a form of early data encryption, a method that mimics how we now decode biosynthetic gene clusters to understand how plants self-organize their chemical defenses. This research connects the Renaissance pursuit of volatile spirits directly to the modern study of plant-to-plant signaling and self-organizing chemical interactions. The search for the stone remains entwined with the roots of the earth, evolving from the furnace of the 16th century garden into the mapping of the modern genome.